In this series of videos on digital product management, we are seeing how to create a product strategy and roadmap using a very popular tool called AHA. We created in the last video the vision canvas. We are now going to create the business model for the product. Now, there are various types of business models available. The one that is typically used for the purpose of any new venture is what is called a lean canvas. So if you go to the models, you can add a strategic model. And when you're adding a strategic model, you'll see various options. The one that we are going to use is a lean canvas, which is typically used for a startup kind of scenario. Add this model. A lean canvas consists of various components. It usually starts with a problem statement. So as an entrepreneur who is launching a new product, or even an established business who is thinking of a new product, it usually starts with identifying a problem rather than defining a solution. So you should always start with the problem space rather than the solution space. Now, see, it says that top 3 customer challenges essentially means that the number of problems that you're trying to solve should not be too many. Because if you're solving too many, you're trying to solve too many problems, probably you have not identified the problem correctly, or you're trying to boil the ocean. So ideally, there should be a small set of problems that you want to solve. Now, once you define the problem, then directly you go to defining the customer segments. Now, if it is a new innovative product, ideally you should start with some desperate customers, because you will plan to launch a minimum viable product or MVP, which by definition is an inferior product. It may not have all the features. It is meant to test the product market fit, and hence only the desperate customers probably will be using the product. If you think that you are not able to find any customer segment which is desperate to use your product, probably you are not solving a very big problem. In other words, your solution may not be very unique. Once you have defined the set of desperate customers, then you define what is the unique value proposition of your product, which is one single clear value which is different from other similar products in the market. And then you will need to define the solutions, which is broadly a set of features that will help to drive this unique value proposition. Once you have defined the solutions, again, when you're defining the solutions, you should try and identify few key features that will drive the unique value proposition rather than having a long list of features. Later on in a subsequent video, we'll create a feature roadmap, and there we will differentiate between a solution and a feature. But as of now, you can consider solutions and features to be one and same. After this, you need to define what is the unfair advantage. Most successful business have an unfair advantage, which helps them to get an initial mileage. Unfair advantage is not a competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is what you acquired over a long period of time. Unfair advantage is what you possess. Instead of acquiring, you possess that set of advantages, which helps you to get a jump start. It is usually not very sustainable. It helps you to give the initial jump start. Once you have defined the unfair advantage, then you go down to define the revenue streams and the cost structure. Again, at this point of time, you may not be able to define clearly the details of the revenue. In other words, you probably will not be able to define a very clear cash flow projection or a profit and loss projection, which is fine because you are just in the conceptualization stage. And unless your MVP is launched and your idea is validated, the product market fit is validated, there's hardly any meaning to define a very detailed um, financial projection. However, it is expected at this point of time to define the key elements that will drive your revenue. And similarly, it's important that you define the key elements that will drive your cost. Once you have done the revenue and the cost, revenue streams and the cost structure, you would then need to define one or two key metric that will define the success of the minimum viable product which you plan to launch. This set of key metrics, usually it can be one key metric, is called the North Star metric. In some subsequent session, we'll discuss in detail about the concept of North Star metric and its role in the minimum viable product. Finally, you need to define the channels through which you are going to reach your customers. So these are the key components of the lean canvas. For Salt and Soap, the company has already created the lean canvas. So what we are going to do, we are just going to take this from here and put it in your AHA roadmap. So the problem that the company has identified are primarily three, and you can put it over here. We have to just put down. We put down the problem statements here. Inconvenience is shopping, physically going and shopping, shortage of time, and range of available products. The customer segments that they have defined, especially the desperate customers who are likely to be their first customers. These are the desperate customers, working couples, people whose elderly parents live outside the city. Elderly parents live in the city, but their children live outside the city, and other digitally active professionals. So probably if I have to prioritize, probably I'll say working couples and people whose elderly parents live in the city, but the children themselves stay outside the city are probably the most desperate customers. Over here. We have the customer segments here. After that, we have to go to the unique value proposition. So again, this company has defined some unique value proposition, which is convenient and value-added shopping experience with personal shopping assistance. Put it over here. Yeah, we're here. Maybe we just a little bit of editing is required over here. We'll then look at the solution. So they have identified these three as the primary features which will drive the unique value proposition. We'll then go to the unfair advantage. They've identified the unfair advantage as IT project manager experience and young MBAs volunteering to intern in the company. We'll put over here. Once you have done the unfair advantage, we'll define the revenue stream and the cost structure. So these are the revenue streams that they've identified. They intend to make money not only from the sale of products, which is going to cover their working capital need, but more importantly, they also want to use the data labs for generating additional sources of revenue and also promote brands in the platform. Need to put in the primary elements that will drive the cost. So they have identified either the primary 5 elements that will drive the cost: product development, cloud infrastructure, digital marketing expenses, transportation, which is delivery, and operating staff expenses. So put that over here. Finally, the last two things that we have to define the key metrics. So they have defined customer retention, average ticket size. Of course, key metrics should have numerical values. So in the details, you need to define what the numerical values or numerical targets that you need to achieve. So each of these has some details. So here you can provide that. In the interest of time, I'm not providing those, but in reality, in a lean canvas, you need to provide the metrics for this. Finally, the last element, which is channels through which you are going to reach your customers. So they have identified digital marketing as the only channel, at least in the MVP stage, through which they plan to reach their customers. So you put that as a channel. And we have successfully put the lean canvas on our roadmap. So this is our lean canvas for the product.